Hi everyone.
Hello.
How are you? Nice to have you here. Another exciting webinar from Brett and Marie Jones on Relationship Warriors. If you haven't been here before, we're going to do an amazing event for you here where you're really going to get 30 years of experience from both of us in dealing with relationships and, importantly, also building a kingdom, like going on a journey.
So just say hi so we know you're here. And I don't feel like I'm talking to a screen. That would be awesome. So just say hi, introduce yourself, and just let us see that you're here. We'll just wait another 2 minutes for other people to come on, and then we'll start. And I'm excited. We could talk about this
all day long.
All day. It's just awesome just to see couples take their relationships to a new level. You know, marriage gets a hard rap nowadays, and it can be awesome and it can be brilliant.
Exactly.
So looking forward to sharing that with you. Just in the comments, just say hi and just let us know where you're from.
So guys, don't be bashful. Like it says, don't be shy, start chatting. So just say hi in there. I can see we've got a few people on at the moment. So we'll start the webinar now anyway. So this is about how to build an awesome relationship. And for most of us, it's been a challenge. We get that. And we've acquired skills over the last, 24 years, nearly 25 now, of being together. But more importantly, we've been able to share those skills with people and come up with a system and a format that makes it easy to understand how to actually have not only a good relationship, but like a relationship that lasts a lifetime, is deep, intimate, and really fulfilling.
Because what's better than anything in the world is coming home to a relationship where you've got each other, where you've got each other's back. So it doesn't matter what's happening in the world, what's happening at work, or what's happening with the in-laws, that you're coming home and you've got each other's back. And that is bliss. So we want to teach you how to do that.
So great to see we've got some people here from Canada, from Phoenix, Arizona. That's awesome. Glad to have you guys here. We were over in the States recently in Los Angeles, and we're going to be back there in October running an event.
Yes.
So good to see you guys here, and thanks for joining us. So what is this webinar actually about? So who's it for? So it's for those who are going okay in their relationship right now, but know that there's a lot more. There's another level of trust, depth, and commitment. See, the relationship either grows or it dies. This is the truth. We can go along okay in a relationship, and we can be like two good friends just living in a house together. We know we love each other, but that doesn't mean that we've got the depth, the intimacy, or the passion, or, importantly, the kingdom in that relationship. It's also going to be for those who are going through a tough time at the moment, because the truth is all relationships do. In our own relationship over a quarter of a century, we've had some tough times. There are times when we could have killed each other, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And there were many a time when we went sailing in our yacht for 3 years around the world that Marie wanted to chuck me in a dinghy and leave me behind.
It's also for those people that are single and they want to attract the right partner. Quite often you can get 99 gorgeous guys in a pub and one prick, and this particular person will always go for the prick. So there's a pattern there that she has to change, not them. So it's also for that person, which was me, who wasn't attracting the right partner.
Yeah, absolutely. So what to expect? Well, our goal is to make sure that you see that you're actually just one conversation away from what you're seeking in a relationship. We all want the intimacy, we all want the love and connection. And when we're in the middle of tough times, it can seem like those things are a long way away. But the truth is they're not. There's a way that warriors step up in relationships. So we're going to show you not only how to fix the relationship, but how to bring that warrior portion of yourself out in the relationship. It's also to show you that there's a new code. See, we seem to have forgotten there's a way that men and women communicate. We've got to a place where we expect the same conversation, the same communication from a woman to a man, and it's just not true.
And it doesn't work. You know, we totally want different things from a relationship. Opposite things is just incredible. So, you know, what I want from the relationship is totally foreign to what Brett wants from the relationship. And we'll show you that during this webinar.
No, I'm going to testify to that 100%. Like, sometimes I look at her and go, what are you thinking? How can you possibly ask for that? Or how can you try and communicate that to me? But once you understand the code, you're going to get to see that that way of communicating actually becomes very, very simple.
So who wants to hear that?
Hopefully all of you. So let's see some comments.
Give us a yes.
And let us know if you want to learn the communication code. So the state of the nation, where are we actually at with relationships in 2018? Well, the truth is, when you think about it, no one's ever given us the information, right? No one's given us how to communicate. Sure, you might get the basic stuff in school, but no one tells us how to actually communicate because relationships aren't taught in school.
And, you know, getting good marks in your maths or your English test does not set you up for successful marriage. So there's a real gap there in school. So, you know, no wonder the divorce rate is where it is, because we have just lost the skills, which is really, really sad because we see all the time that people are one conversation away from a successful marriage or to bring that relationship to a much higher level. You know, they're not that far away. It's not their fault. They just don't have the skills.
So, you know, it's like in school. Sure, we can learn about our bodies and we can learn about sex, but that's one portion of relationship. That becomes the result of the relationship. Plenty of porn to look at and that sort of stuff on the internet, but that's not going to get you there with a relationship. Let's have a look. So we get there's nothing worse than being lonely in a relationship. Like, you know, being in a relationship and there's a sense that it's just not what it could be.
And it doesn't, you know, then when you're there, it doesn't matter how successful work is or how much money you've got. If you're going home to a relationship that's not great or it's not where you want it to be or you don't have the relationship that you want, life sucks. Doesn't matter what else is going okay, life sucks. And
there's a sense in the relationship of like, yes, I can have all this other stuff, or, you know, if I'm great at my health or I'm good with the kids or I've got a great business or I've got money, but then you're coming home and you're trying to make it work, but you're trying on your own. How do you make that work? Like, how do you influence your partner to get on the same page as you? That's what we're going to be talking about today and giving you information. So if you really want to hear that, let's have a few thumbs up and a few yeses.
Hi, Coral.
Let's get a bit of interaction going, guys, because we really want this to be interactive with you. And whilst on a webinar, you know, we can only respond to the comments. If you've got questions on the way through this webinar, pop them up on the feed. We'll read them and we will respond to them. And both Marie and I have been in a situation where, you know, we'd go out, we'd work hard, but we'd come home and it was just cold. You know, there wasn't what we were seeking in the relationship. It wasn't there.
Well, it was functional. You know, it was functional. And hey, you want way more than functional because when you do get it right, oh, it's bliss.
Yeah, David, take two to tango. Absolutely, it does take two. But we're going to show you how you can influence the other person and get them to do the dance with you. So, again, I've been in the situation where you feel like you love the person, but you can't be with them. I mean, that's a terrible feeling to be in. I've been there, and so is Marie. Like, you're in a relationship. You know in your head you love them, but there's no feeling going on between the two of you. And that's hard. I mean, that really sucks. It not only makes the relationship suck, but it makes your entire life shit.
And I think also you get to a place where, oh, it's just too hard. And a lot of couples go to that place because they don't have the skills to break through where they're at.
Yeah.
So let's hope we change this for you today.
So I can see there's a few people that are on point with, you know, how do we bring our partner to the same page with us? How do we get them to really want to, one, work on themselves, because that's part of it, right? Yeah. And work on the relationship. That's the other piece. And, you know, to be in a relationship where you know you need more, but don't know how to actually get it. Because there are skills to be acquired in this area that are essential. It's not taught at school. It's not in the media. It's not anywhere. It's not even in marriage guidance counselling, because that crap does not work.
Because what they end up focusing on is the problem. And week after week, you're focusing on the problem. And whatever you focus on expands.
Exactly. So if it's not right now, there's no point in complaining. There's no point in pointing the finger to your partner and going, you need to do this, you need to do that. Because all you're going to do is entrench them, make them stay exactly where they are and stuck in where they are right now. And that's not what you want. You're looking to influence them. So you've got to learn how to actually fix the relationship. And there's a method in the way. This is like anything else in life, guys. I don't know what you're good at, but I'm sure you're good at something, right? So let us know what you're good at. Put up some comments. What are you really good at? Because whatever you're good at, if you think about it, you would have practiced it. You learnt it. You learnt the philosophy behind how you're doing what you're doing. Then you learn the strategy, and then you learn the skills. And relationships, and having an awesome relationship and a kingdom is exactly the same thing. You've got to learn the philosophy, strategy, and then the actual tactics or the skills to employ it. And it's the same here. Whinging, complaining, and bitching about your partner is going to shift nothing. You've got to learn how to actually fix the relationship. So how did we get to this point? Well, see, for men, for the guys that are listening now, I think you'll get this. Years ago, in World War I and World War II, men were sent off to war. And what they learned to do was they learned to harden up and shut down their emotions. To go off to war, to see the slaughter that they witnessed in those two conflicts. Over 120 million people died. Unheard of in the history of mankind. They had to shut down. And they closed off. And then when they came home, they were in the same place, right? They're trying to deal with having been there. Come back to sitting around the dinner table, come back to dealing with money and finances and her and the kids and all those things. And they were in the same place. And all they wanted was peace. They just wanted it to be chilled and not to have to really think about much at all and just deal with life at that level. Meanwhile, for her at home...
But what was happening for the women, jobs appeared, and they got a lot of jobs making the war machines, making the equipment, and they loved it. And not only were they out working, they were still looking after the kids, they were still cooking and cleaning, and not only that, they were most likely looking after his or her parents too. So it was the beginning of a new era for women, and that's the start of women becoming everything and everybody and everything to everybody. Mm. And that was the beginning of taking the burden and taking it all on.
And that created a huge problem for women, because not only did they then do it, what happened is their children modeled those things. They modeled what their parents were doing. So our generation took that on, and literally we wanted the same things. Men shut down and just wanting peace, no difficult conversations. Let's just get on and build the kingdom. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And for her,
women were being everything to everybody, and they still are today.
And they're carrying everything. If you talk to any woman, so any of the women that agree with this on the feed, put up your comments here.
And they're tired. They're looking at the finances, they're dealing with the home, they're dealing with him, they're dealing with the kids. They're exhausted, they're tired. They're
carrying the emotional burden of everything within the family. See, to fix something, you've got to recognize exactly where it is, guys. And if you can't recognize that, how can you possibly fix it? So this is the state of the nation. This is where relationships are at. So women that are listening right now, if you're relating, put up some comments. Guys, if you're relating, put up some comments as well. And then we got to the 1960s. And again, the culture changed, right? This was the period of freedom, letting go of all the old stuff. But what happened is the pendulum swung too far in an opposite direction. It swung too far towards we're the same. And the truth is we're equal, which is what happened in the 60s, right? We became equal. Women can do as much as men. They got to vote. They got to work in the same industries. And the truth was, in that period, culture said, the culture said, we're equal. We're exactly the same is where it went to. And that's not true. We're not the same. We're entirely different. We expect entirely different things. Emotionally, we're built different.
Yes, Rebecca, saw your comment, and that's true. You know, women then were stressed a lot and we're doing everything. And that was a common thing. And
women say the same thing now. You know, we've done literally hundreds of seminars, hundreds of events, and we hear the same comments over and over again in those events. You know, I'm tired of carrying the burden. I feel like I've got 2 kids, but I feel like I've got 3. I'm carrying him as well. And he's like, oh, God, all she ever does is just like bang on about the same stuff over and over again. It's like the sex, money, the kids, in-laws, not giving enough time and attention. And we get stuck in these places. And what we're here to help you do is get unstuck from those places.
And by just taking you through how did it happen, how do we set it up through the generations, helps you untangle it at your end.
Absolutely. So the truth is the king and queen must rise. Meaning?
Because we've got a lot of princesses out there and a lot of princes out there. And to build a kingdom, it takes a queen and a king. It takes them working together to build the kingdom.
So that means that we have to look at ourselves. It's very easy to point the finger, right? Many fingers, right at her, and go, it's your fault.
There's a saying that we have, you know, every time you point the finger, there's 3 fingers pointing back. It's important, the only way you can move forward is looking at yourself first.
Yeah.
What do I need to shift and move in myself? You know, why have I attracted this? What am I doing here? What's my part in this? Where have I done this pattern before?
And we call it going to the cell. And that came out of my experience when I first looked into this area and I wanted to get really great at relationships. And I went on this personal development event. And I was actually in an old monk cell. And in that cell, and just sitting there in the silence, in that space, I got clarity about myself and what I was like. Because the truth is, if I want to influence her, the best way to do that is not to try and change her. The best way to do that is change myself, which will then have an influence on Marie. And we call that going to the cell. So when we go to the cell and we do that work on ourselves, that's when the king can rise and the queen can rise.
And when the queen rises, then she stops being a victim. She stops blaming everybody else for her miserable life and takes responsibility for her own life. Because it's important that we go responsible for our own life. And when we're in that place, only then, and understanding the differences between the king and the queen, but only then are we able to influence.
Coral says, my mom was the dominator in a relationship in my parents' relationship. Yeah, so what we tend to do, Coral, is take those same patterns and then apply them in the relationship here. This is why the king and the queen must rise. This is why we need to go to the cell to do the work, because we unwind that pattern, take it off ourselves, and then that enables us to be free in our relationship, that relationship we want, not the relationship our parents had.
And then we're free to look at what's working for me and what's not working for me. What patterns do I want to keep that my parents passed down, which were awesome, and which patterns do I not want to pass on?
And Rebecca says, I've made sure I've gotten married. I think I've made sure I've not gotten married or stuck with any guys so far because of the emotional burden, being afraid of being a terrible mum. Yeah, get it, Rebecca, totally understand. But what we're talking about here with the king and queen rising means for the kingdom to stand, we can let go of those patterns. We don't need to let the fear of becoming our parents stop us from being able to have what we actually want. We can put those old patterns down and stand for and make an inquiry into how I stand as king, how she stands as queen on our own, not letting that stuff in the past come and affect us now.
And going to the cell also makes us aware of, you know, what culture is influencing us as well. And is it working for us? Do we want that or do we not want that? So going to the cell gives us choices of how do I want to be?
Absolutely.
And what sort of person do I want to be? And what legacy do I want to leave behind?
So for myself, my story is basically that I went through a 10-year marriage. I had 4 children. And at the end of it, when my business collapsed, see, I built a $400 million company over 10 years. And whilst I built an empire, I hadn't built a kingdom. The relationship itself was just bereft. Like there was nothing in the relationship. Whilst we were 2 people that originally loved each other, we got to a point where intellectually we knew that, but there was nothing going on between the 2 of us. And the relationship, when the business failed, the shores of the money and the wealth pulled back, the waves of the wealth and the money pulled back. And what it exposed was a relationship that really had nothing in it. And, you know, I was lying and I was cheating in that relationship because I didn't know any other way to get my needs met. And that was obviously the wrong way. And hence the relationship then collapsed. And after it did, that's where I saw, okay, I don't want to go through that pain again. I don't want to experience the pain of one, having a kingdom that's collapsed, an empire that's fallen to pieces, and a relationship that clearly didn't work. So then I went and did some work on myself. And in doing that, I not only gained the skills in the relationship, I was able then to build a kingdom. Now, we haven't shown you yet what a kingdom means, but we are going to shortly. So I learned the skills. I'm working on myself, how a woman works. As much as a mystery to a lot of the guys that are listening as that might seem, there is actually a formula and there is a way that all women relate to men and relationships work. So I got to learn that and was able then to learn the principles and to make this relationship, which has now lasted 25 years, but not only lasted 25 years, like, you know, she's my best friend. She's not only my best friend, she's my lover. And she's the person that is there for me all the time. And we talk about everything in our relationship. And the level of communication for that builds the relationship strength. So Marie had a different story.
I did. So I was in business and I had a successful business and everything was going well. I had good friends, I partied hard, and I was making lots of money. And I sent the staff home and it was a Saturday. And one Saturday afternoon, I'd sent the staff home and I was just, you know, balancing up the till. And I was just taking my time, and I knew I had to go home, have a shower and get ready and go out. And I was feeling miserable. And I thought, why am I feeling so miserable? Like everything's good. And I can't want for anything else. And that's when I started to go to the sale. And I really, really wanted a partner that was on the same page. You know, I really wanted to share my life with someone. And even though I had a lot of people around me and I had a great social network and great friends, I actually was lonely in a crowd. And I told myself the truth. I admitted that to myself. And that was the beginning of me wanting more and wanting to attract a relationship in my life.
So we have to be able to move on past those stories. We have to leave those stories behind, because if we don't leave what we've been through behind, then the relationship we're having is going to be a reflection of what we've come from. And we both bring different models to the relationship. This is the truth. This is why we have to do the work on ourselves, then to be able to implement what we call the relationship code. So we've worked with many people over the years, and a gorgeous couple that we work with, Jen and Paul, have been with us for nearly, I think about 18 years we've worked with them. And see, they put in a lot of work over the years. And the beautiful thing about Jen and Paul is they are prepared as warriors to keep on working on the relationship. Because it's a bit like, you know, running a marathon. Once you get into it and you get over the hump, then keeping the relationship good is a lot less work. And what most people won't do is they won't become warriors and do that initial period of 1 to 2 years work, get the relationship really, really great, and then just maintain it. Then just keep it good.
And these guys have been together since they were 16, 17. And could they have got divorced? Absolutely.
Many times.
But have they become warriors? Absolutely. And the relationship they have is bliss. It's just beautiful. So here's a little video of what they have to say.
Hello, Brett and Marie.
Hi.
We're sitting here at the Crown Towers, enjoying the fact that we're having a night by ourselves with an actual contribution from friends for Jen's 40th, which is what we've used to actually pay for the night. And we're just sitting here thinking, thank you so much for your contribution. I know that you guys know that you do so much for people, but I just want to share with you the fact that we love you so much, and thank you so much just from us, because if it wasn't for you and your intervention at certain times, we wouldn't be able to sit here on our 18th wedding anniversary and enjoy it. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Have you got anything to say?
Just thank you for your love, your support, your guidance. As Paul said, you know, without that and giving us that mentoring when things were really, really not great, and for helping us stay great and stay true. And, you know, right now we are sitting here and I'm loving up my king and I'm feeling like a queen, like you would not believe. We have just had the best few hours, and I thank you for absolutely everything, and we love you guys so much, and we
Thanks,
just wanted to send you this little message.
And we'll catch up soon because we have to drop a certain tent back.
Yes.
See you guys.
Bye.
Love you.
So as you can see, guys, you know, we have to be able to do the work on ourselves. And in doing that, we get the results.
Now, just let us know that if you heard that okay and if it was clear enough, because sometimes there's a delay. So just let us know that that worked for you and you did hear it and you did hear everything they said. That would appreciate that feedback.
So this is the kingdom. And when we create a kingdom, it gives us the ability to have exactly what we want.
And in the kingdom, it's important, you know, this is all areas of the kingdom, and all areas need to be working for the kingdom to stand. The boudoir is the bedroom, the treasury, your finances, the heirs is kids, stepkids, the temple is going into the cell and looking at yourself. The relationship code, which we will cover, and the dojo is the health and fitness, and the armory are tools that you learn along the way, tools to have those conversations, tools that turn those arguments into conversations. All those tools are in the armory.
So why each of these areas is important is that if you're fantastic in the treasury and your relationship collapses, the kingdom falls. If you're fantastic in your relationship, but you don't know how to deal with your kids, the kids can break up the relationship.
And often I speak to women and they've let the boudoir go and they don't have that feeling where they don't want to make love anymore, and they deny themselves a beautiful part of the feminine, a beautiful part in the communication in the bedroom.
And what we show you is how to go to the temple first, to do the work on yourself, and then to be able to implement the relationship code itself. This is critical, because if you can't understand the relationship code, you can understand it, but you can't implement it, what's the point? Yeah, we can give you the strategy, but if you can't get yourself out of the way to implement the strategy, it's useless to you. So that's why it's important to have an entire kingdom. And when we build a kingdom, you know, it's not just about getting this right. It's about, okay, what are we creating together?
Yes, and when we get the kingdom right, then, you know, true energies working together, you can create anything you want. So for us, we love to travel. So we travel overseas, 3 times a year. We give the kids great experiences. We have beautiful friends. We look at different cultures, and your focus can be on other things. Because when we build a kingdom, we've got the energy then to move on to contribution and to move on to doing what we want to do. When we don't have that, we end up using that time to fight against each other.
So when you build the kingdom, you get the area of the kids right, you get the area of the bedroom right, you get your finances, your business right, you get your money right, you get all these areas that enable you to have this sort of lifestyle. You get to travel, you get to meet amazing people like Michael Beckwith, Anthony Robbins, Tim Ferriss, like many other people that you wouldn't otherwise get to if you don't come on this type of journey. And we bring talent like that into the journey, so you get to meet people like that when you attend our events. So this is an important piece of the kingdom because it's about creating an experience for both of you as part of that journey. And the truth is you have to change the inner world and the outer will change.
Because quite often we focus on changing the outer world. We focus on changing him. He has to change. He has to do this. He isn't doing this. Rather than stop, we need to change our inner world, and then our outer world changes.
Yeah. And it's so much easier to go, okay, I'm going to work on getting, if only she would stop doing this stuff, and only she would stop coming and bothering me all the time or giving me 28,000 words per day. If only she'd stop that, then the relationship would be good. But that's like banging your head against a brick wall. Like if you try and change somebody else, they're going to resist that shit. They're not going to do it. So the principle has to be, and we've learned this over 30 years now of doing this type of work, that when we work on ourselves, that's when we can influence. That's when we can make the shift. And I know, David, as an example, one of the guys that's listening right now, he's been to one of our events before. And when he made that shift in himself, the relationship changed. And that principle applies across the board. So within the kingdom, we set up the code. The code is very simple. Tell the truth about ourselves. Tell the truth. Where is the relationship actually at right now? Stop bullshitting to yourself about where it is. If it's not good, then admit it.
So where's the relationship in the boudoir? Where's the relationship in the treasury? Where's the relationship in the communication code? Where's the relationship with the heirs? So tell yourself the truth. Second part of the code, do the right thing. And that's above and beyond emotion, and let go of the outcome.
So what that means is, it means we don't give up when others do. We keep persevering. We can make it work. See, the truth is, if I left her and I hadn't worked on myself, then what I'm going to be attracted to is some of the same patterns of behavior, something that I'm familiar with, these patterns that I know. And you end up seeing in different relationships over and over again, they're tackling the same problems. Different person, same problem.
And this is why second marriages, the statistic is way, way higher than first marriages, because they haven't gone to the sale and they've continued the pattern.
Yeah, so the divorce rate in second marriages is higher, and the divorce rate in third marriages is higher again. In first marriages at the moment, it's around 60 to 70%, depending on the country. Second marriages, it's up in the 80s, and third marriages fail at a 90% rate because people haven't done the work on themselves. If you get what we mean here, guys, put up some comments on the feed.
And third, love and protect the family.
And what that means is to jump in and build that kingdom. Once you've done the first two, it becomes so much easier to get in there and do the work. This is an ongoing lifestyle. This is not for wimps. This is not for princes and princesses. And let me define what they are. A princess is a woman whose growth has stalled as a person. And she expects that when she meets some guy, he's going to make it all good. Life's going to be great.
He's going to save her and they're going to run away on a white horse together and live happily ever after. And although that'd be a nice fairy tale, the reality is you're responsible for your happiness.
That's not going to happen. A prince is a guy whose growth as a person is also stalled. Now he's just interested in having a good time, partying, drinking, going out with girls, buying cars, doing all that sort of stuff. He hasn't yet got to the point where he wants to become a king. So what we're talking about here is not for princes and princesses. This is for kings and queens that want to build kingdoms, that want to step up as warriors.
That have the courage to tell themselves the truth.
Yeah, that's what this is for. So this isn't for you, that's cool. Move on, find something else that will pander to your ego.
So give us a yes if you're relating to this.
So we're going to show you 3 secrets today. 3 ways in which you can change your relationship. Because the truth is, there's really 2 things you need to be happy in a relationship, even if your partner's not going to shift. How to have passionate sex and intimacy all the time. If you want that, put your hands up and give us a few comments as well. And Carol definitely wants passionate sex and intimacy. Awesome. And how to restore the relationship in only 3 days. And I know that sounds like a big claim, but it's true. We can begin to turn the relationship around in just 3 days of doing some work on ourselves. Even if the trust has completely gone out of the relationship, even if there's been infidelity, even if there's been cheating, even if there's been lots and lots of arguments, we can turn it around in 3 days.
And even if there's a lot of resentment.
So guys, if that's what you want to see, come on, there's quite a few of you here. Let's see some comments. So what's the relationship warrior code? How do we actually make this communication code between the 2 of us work? Because to me, years ago, it seemed impossible. Like I just didn't get women.
We're very easy to get.
Yeah, not. And women are like, yeah, I get guys, but I can't get him to do what I want him to do. Like I know as a woman what needs to happen in the relationship, but no matter how much I talk to him, he just resists and doesn't want to do it. And Retz, yes, I like it, dude. Fist bump. Dave, yep, and Coral, awesome. Thanks, guys. So, secret number 1, we are equal.
I can do anything Brett can do, and he can do anything I can do. And we are equal, but we are so different.
Yeah. Women just want to talk about their emotions. They want to talk about how they feel, and more importantly, they want men to understand their emotions. For guys, completely different.
Yes.
What are we talking about? I just want the facts. Did the tyres in the car get changed or not when I sent you down to the garage?
And, you know, for me, I would have a big story about getting the tyres changed. So men often want to take that story that she's talking about and make it smaller. And for a woman, if that's happening, we feel not listened to or we feel uncared for.
Absolutely. So, you know, there's been many times in our life where Marie will come to me with some problem. And it might be, you know, something that's going on with the kids at school. You know, River had a few issues the other day at school, and Marie was telling me about that. I just want to know what's the issue, and then I can tell her how we're going to fix it. For her,
we already know, because one thing, women, they've got awesome intuition, and they already know the answer. But what they want to do is they want to share the conversation. They want to share the conversation with you and you to have input in that conversation because they already know what they're going to do. And in sharing that conversation and you listening and giving presence, then we feel really close to you.
So for us as guys, though, that can be really irritating. Like she's going to just talk on and on and on. She's going to go into all these different subjects about, you know, what happened with River and what the teachers say, and what did River's girlfriend say, and then what did the other girlfriend that was with her say. And she's going to cover all these different things. So for guys, if we're not aware, that becomes very irritating.
And what men want is they want support. They want, thank you for that holiday. And look, I work and I've always had my own businesses. And you can get stuck in, oh, well, I make the money too. And that's not what it's about. I think that we can actually support our men and say thank you way more than what we do. And even I remember once going to the movies with Brett and saying, oh, look, thanks for that movie. That was awesome. And he loved that thank you. And for us, it's like, really? you know. They get a lot out of us saying thank you, thanks for working so hard. I love the fact you work so hard for our family. So a little thank you really helps support our men.
Totally, and that's one of the differences that we're talking about. We might be equal, but the way in which we receive this is completely different. She needs listening and presence is something quite unique. You know, presence is something that a guy can bring with his focus to a woman. And if you can see it on the screen now, you can see Marie's reaction to my presence, my total focus into her.
And when a woman gets that presence, you can actually feel it in your body. When a woman gets that presence, it releases the oxytocin. And when you're in the feminine, you're really in tune with your body and you can really feel that oxytocin. And it's a love drug. It makes you feel closer to him. And women want to be cared for. And quite often men think it's the big things, you know. Quite often it's not. It's the small things. It's like maybe I'm in the kitchen and Brett wants something in the kitchen and he just moves me gently to get whatever he wants. It's just that care of everyday small things that make a difference for women.
So when you get that right, then you can go on the overseas holidays, you can enjoy the house, you can enjoy the things that you're looking to build within the kingdom, because without that, it's not present. So for a guy, when he gives that sort of presence, it's about the levels of testosterone within us rising. That is essential, which is why we have the area of the dojo within the kingdom, because you need to be able to work on that as a man to increase your levels of testosterone and be able to provide that presence for her. It's a composite thing within the kingdom. You need all of it, not just one portion. You have to have it all.
And it's important, I think it's epidemic now where a lot of women are in the masculine and men in the feminine. And whenever we do go to the cell, we can claim back that feminine state for ourselves. And in that place, we really tap into our intuition then and we communicate from a very different place.
And for guys, it can be hard to determine whether we're in the feminine or masculine state. So for most of us, it seems like most men are running around in their masculine, you know, dominant, aggressive state. That's not the masculine. When we're in the masculine, we're kind, we're generous, we're warriors. We can step up and provide the presence and handle the different territories, the different areas of the kingdom. That's when we're in our masculine. When we're in our feminine, we're in our head. We're overthinking things, we're not present with her, and we're whinging and complaining about her. That's when we're in our feminine.
Never.
Not that we have anything to complain about, right?
And we score differently. You know, as I said, quite often men think it's the big things. And for one of our wedding anniversaries, Brett took me to China. And there was a lot of work involved in taking me to China. But quite often for men, they think they have to do the big things, and it's not. It's getting the kids to bed or cooking dinner or vacuuming my car. I love it when he vacuums my car.
Go figure, right? Go figure.
I like China too, but the car has a lot of points.
Yeah. So, you know, I might get, say, 10 points for taking her to Shanghai in China on a wedding anniversary, business class. But I'd probably also get 10 points for taking the garbage out, cleaning your car.
Getting the kids to bed on time.
Getting the kids to bed on time. I'd get 10 points for that. So women score things very differently. This is one of the differences that we have to recognize. And this is one of the tools of what we call the armory. Recognizing these things, having them as tools, having them as tactics and strategies within the relationship, so that when we come up against these things, instead of feeling unappreciated, we get the differences. So guys, if you're getting the difference between the masculine and the feminine states, put up some comments in the chat so we can get that you're like understanding what we're talking about here with these things, because they're really important distinctions that we have to make in understanding of the communication code. So we're going to play you another little video here from a beautiful lady called Holly. And Holly's from Los Angeles. She attended our event earlier this year. And she's going to talk about like the differences for her between shifting from the masculine in herself to the feminine, and then how she saw her husband switch from his feminine to the masculine. But let me give you some background about her husband, Mark, who is into extreme sports. He's 6'2". He's a mountain of a man. He does stuff like, leaping off buildings and jumping out of planes and BMX bikes and flips and all this sort of stuff, right, when he's in the masculine. But then when he came home, he would shift. And he'd shift into the feminine. And that was destroying the relationship. And when I met Holly, she was at the point where, if this doesn't work, Brett, I'm out of here. I'm leaving.
This is the last thing we're doing.
Yeah. So have a little listen to what Holly's got to say.
And it was really amazing to do it with my husband at the same time so we could both work through these blocks and move forward.
So that was the main piece you came for, right? Was to get the relationship to a different place than where it's been.
Yes.
So did that happen in the 3 days?
It happened not only by pushing our stuff out of the way, but really going back into the effects of our childhood, but also learning that big piece about how we are wired different and what to do with it.
Yeah.
How to react. And
so did you get a lot of difference between the masculine and the feminine, really understanding men, but also understanding yourself as a woman and what you actually need?
Absolutely. And that was the big piece that I hadn't discovered before, was the actual science behind how we're wired different.
Yeah. So do you think now, like, he knows how to make you happy now?
Yes.
Right. And do you think you're more open to showing him what you actually need?
Absolutely.
Rather than hoping that he's going to discover it from you.
Right. I mean, it seems so insignificant to go over these little communication skills, but when you don't have the communication, that's when everything falls apart. Yeah. So were you in the masculine state most of the time before, or the feminine state before? The masculine.
Right. Which most women are in right now, right? And I think
we are, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's normal because everybody else is like that. But when you see the contrast of what it's like to actually be in the feminine, how does it feel like to be in the feminine now?
It feels more natural. When I had to take on the masculine state, it was a constant, like, uphill battle. Yes. But now I feel like I'm more in the flow where I should be. Yeah. And have you noticed now that you're there, was he in the masculine or feminine before? He was in the feminine. Yeah, right. And now? He's in the masculine. Yeah. Total role reversal. Yeah. And how's that feel for you as a woman? Solid. I feel so much more security and protection moving forward. And I feel like I feel like he can finally understand me. Right. And that, as a woman, of course, is really, really important, isn't it? To be understood. Oh, absolutely. That makes the marriage. That makes the marriage, really. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, as you can see, when we do the work on ourselves, we can change the relationship around.
And it's a lifestyle choice. You don't do something once and then expect miracles. It's a lifestyle choice. It needs, you want to build a kingdom, it's a lifestyle choice. You constantly are going to the cell, shifting and moving until the day you die. But when you do that, you're a warrior and you have an awesome relationship followed by an awesome life. Absolutely. Now, Dave put up a comment, how making dinner I love to, but it would take away something she loves to do. Yeah, I get that. Yep. But Dave, one of the things we have to be able to do is, as a king, when we become king, we step up. And at the moment, if she's not wanting you to put the kids to bed, that's very common for women, right, to have control of everything. So sometimes we have to be able to have this conversation through the communication code with her and take it over. And what it would give you a clue about is she in the feminine or masculine most of the time? I'd suggest she's in the masculine a lot of the time, carrying the burden of everything, and she doesn't want to. And I would always say, Dave, you're most likely in the feminine because it's not something you ask. It'll be like, okay, darling, I'm doing this tonight. And if you're 100% sure about that, you will set it up for success, and you'll take that over and you'll get them to bed. So, you know, if you're having to ask that permission, I would say that you're in the feminine. So there's definitely work to do there in the cell.
And I had to learn how to step up into that place as king, take that burden off her without conflict, Dave. So we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to show you how to do that. So who wants passionate sex? All the guys are definitely going to put their hands up, and the girls would too, because we're talking about not just having sex, we're talking about passionate sex, right? Making love. And the key to doing this is not to have what you see here in these pictures, not to have this conflict, right, where she's feeling unheard. Yeah, Reds, it's a little bit of both. We'll get to that in explaining that for you in a minute. So the normal mode of communication is the one you see here. She ends up screaming at him. He ends up going to the armory and putting his armor on, shutting down and blocking her and not listening.
And of course, that's going to make her want to get to him and reach him even more. So she'll go and get the bazooka and fire it at him.
Yeah, because she'll go to the armory and get the weapons to try and get through that shield. And then she'll put her shield up. And she may be the opposite. Maybe she's going to shut down and go to putting the armor on and just closing off. But that tends to be the two main ways that we have conversations at the moment. We have to break through this and stop having conversations like this. Because if she's not feeling heard and understood because of his presence and giving her time, then what's going to happen is the tension's going to build up in her.
And great lovemaking comes from great communication. It comes from intimacy. So when I'm sharing myself and Brett sharing himself, when we've got that communication, then our sex life gets passionate because we know each other. Intimacy we have done every day, every moment of every day. It's the little things.
Yeah. David, I implemented set nights of the week, Monday. Good. Excellent. That's part of, definitely part of doing it, David.
Yeah.
But as you can see, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot that we have to learn and master here. We have to recognize that the normal thing is when she's coming at us with the state of the kingdom, see, the queen is going to pick up emotionally the state of the kingdom because her brain is wired to relationships. She uses 28,000 words per day. Any woman does. On average.
When he uses 7,000. So already there's a big difference there in how we communicate.
Huge. And if we can't recognize and be able to work with those differences, we're not going to be able to turn arguments into conversations. Because the arguments tend to be over the same stuff. Children, money, sex, one of us being right. We can learn through the communication code how in just 3 minutes, change it around from being an argument to a conversation where the topic comes second to the strength of our relationship. That comes first.
Every time. That comes first.
And that's what the relationship code is. How do we do that? How do we switch it around to...
See, men naturally block. Yep. And that just makes a woman more irate. And, you know, it's important, you know, what we then do is we remember everything. So it will be like, you know, last year you said this to my mother and that pissed me off or whatever it is. So women then hold on to that resentment. And that resentment is like a big box between you both. And there's no way love can flow when that resentment is sitting there. And often women will say to me, oh, I don't feel I love him anymore. Or I don't, and of course you don't, because it's impossible to love him through all this resentment. So going into the cell, this resentment must be dropped. And once that resentment's dropped, love will flow again.
So women get to a point where they feel like they're trying to prove him wrong to prove themselves right so that they'll get understood. And this is the dynamic that happens. Men then feel like all she's doing is banging on about the same stuff, so they shut down, they block, they deny, and all it does is cause arguments. Communication code shows us a different way of doing that. It shows us how to connect with each other, to recognize the differences. Now, Rebecca says communicating the little things makes for intimacy. Yes, to a point, Rebecca. You definitely want to communicate that to him, but he has to understand that you are going to share all the small things. Because what most men do is they hear all the small things and then they start to shut down in their heads and they're not present. And you will know.
Yeah.
You will know automatically, instantaneously, that he is shut down because women pick that stuff up straight away.
And it's very sexy for, the king, when the king is in the masculine, it is very sexy for a woman. It's very attractive. What is not attractive is a man in the feminine. Quite often I hear women say, I've got 2 kids, but having my husband's like having 3. That is not sexy for a woman.
Yep. So one of the tools we use from the armory is the shield, our symbol. And the shield is really about prioritizing things so we get this right within the relationship.
So it's important that we put ourselves first. Now, what I mean by this is we put ourselves first unselfishly. If we need time out, we have that time out, because if we don't have that time out, we're unable to do what we need to do for ourselves and for everybody else.
So this is a brief view of how we get priorities, because people talk about balance, and it's not balance in a relationship that's important. It's priorities. If I put her second, right? If I put her second to my business, I've got a big problem.
If I put Brett second to the kids, there's another big problem.
Yeah. So this helps us remind us to get these priorities correct, because one of the biggest issues that comes out in relationships is getting this shield wrong. So to give you an example of that, I'm going to play a little video here from Leah and Craig. Now, Craig didn't want to come.
Craig was very resistant. Leah came by herself. I think Leah came maybe twice by herself. On the 3rd time, she stayed strong and Craig joined her.
Yeah, because guys tend to be more reluctant to come to an event like we run, because it's like, I just want peace. Like, I'm sure we can sort this stuff out ourselves. We don't need any help here. Crap, guys. We need strategies. We need tactics. You need to learn how to win at the game of marriage. And it is a game for men. This is how we win. And we can learn these tactics. We can learn these strategies. And once we step up, then we're like, oh, wow, this is really sexy. I really like the fact that he's taken this on board. He's mastered this game. If we're friggin' men or we're not, if we're men, we can learn this shit, we can get it, and we can learn how to do it. So here's a guy, right? Craig's an accountant, and he had no idea what the masculine and feminine was before he came. Have a little listen.
Nervous, apprehensive,
yep,
unsure,
yep,
and
didn't want to be here.
yes,
As honest as it gets.
yep, absolutely. And how do you feel now?
Awesome.
good.
Yep.
Yeah, really, really good. Really quiet, very peaceful, happy,
Yeah,
light.
Glad this one forced me to come along.
Excellent, good. So ladies out there, force your man. No, not really. But no, sometimes, yeah,
No.
when you're feminine, you can
Need
lead.
a bit
yeah?
of a push.
Yeah. So what? Tell me, what did we learn? What was the main thing you learned this weekend?
How to communicate,
Yep.
how to open up,
Yes.
and for all the viewers out there, how to get in my masculine state from my feminine state.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you know before
No.
this weekend that? Yeah. Yeah.
Had no idea what they meant.
Yes.
Had heard of them from Leah from coming
Yes.
the year prior,
Yes.
and some of the issues there was that Leah came and then came home with the news and the information, and I'm like,
Well.
don't understand any of that.
Yes. Yep.
And then came
Come
along
along.
this year and now I understand what it's
Yes.
about.
Yes.
Yeah, have to
Yeah.
be here to experience it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Leah, you must be really happy that your man is now.
I'm stoked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally stoked.
So how did?
But confident too, right?
Absolutely.
Confident because I could see what I hadn't seen before,
Yes. Perfect.
and I really liked what I saw.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So, you're now obviously in feminine. You can see that. Yes. And how does that feel different? How does your body feel?
Relaxed.
Yeah.
Calm.
Yeah.
Not heavy anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
It just feels easy, like it should be, right?
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See you again soon.
Yeah, totally.
Another warrior couple. It's just so brilliant to be with them and to know them. So if you can just comment and let us know, was that video okay? Did you hear it okay? And you understood everything that they were talking about. So just give us a yes. It's always nice to know, did you hear it okay?
So guys, as you can see, Craig came, and whilst he heard about the masculine and feminine, he had to see it. And for the guys that are listening, it's really important that you witness it. You see how it's actually done. And it's very powerful to see it in real life. It's not something that we can convey over a webinar. It's not something you can get out of a book. You have to see it live. It's really important to have that. Coral dropped out. Oh, that's a shame.
Okay. Is that the same for everybody else as well?
It must have been. So
Okay.
what Craig was saying is, I didn't know what the masculine and feminine was. I came to the event, I saw it live, I realized it. Now I can begin to embody what the masculine state actually is and be there for Leah and being able to do that for her.
And it was a piece of a puzzle for him because, he was never taught it, he hadn't seen it. And it was a piece of a puzzle that made all the difference. So they both really mastered the masculine and feminine in their relationship.
Yeah. So how do you restore the relationship in just 3 days? How can you build your kingdom? And why 2 working together is better than 1. In every partnership, there are skills. She brings certain things to the relationship. I know from Marie, one of the things I learned is to be very, very direct with people. When I first met Marie, she's a very direct person. She grew up in Northern Ireland, in Belfast, and she learned to be very direct. Me, before, I was direct in business, but when it came to relationships, like most men being in the feminine, I was very indirect. What I learned to do is to live the code, tell the truth, do the right thing. I became direct. Equally, Marie learned from me to put the velvet glove on, the iron fist, and learn to, soften the blow a little bit. So we have to, working together, learn from each other.
Because if we don't, the very things that we admire in each other is the very things that we'll end up hating about each other. And we'll start dragging each other down over those things.
Totally. And when we learn together and we grow together, that's where it strengthens the kingdom. We become the king and the queen in doing so. We can work in each of these areas together. We work on the dojo together. We work on the heirs together, the kids. We work in the treasury together. Whilst I do a lot of the investment and trading on the share market and property stuff, Marie has input into that. She has input into both businesses that we own and we operate. In the bedroom, what do we like? How do we talk about that? And then in the temple, I'm working on each other. When we work together in these areas, the kingdom becomes much, much stronger.
And this is Jan and Shane, who went through a very difficult time a long, long time ago now. And, they were breaking up and the relationship wasn't great. And over a 3-day period, they have turned it around and they had another child and they are going brilliant.
And as I said here, my husband and I would not be married today if we hadn't done it together. I'd highly recommend it. It's not only changed and deepened our marriage, but it's deepened our whole family's lives. I really hope you and your partner make it. So Jana and Shane have continued to come to the event. They come once a year just to top up, get a reminder, and it's been a way they've maintained their relationship over the years.
Because it's a lifestyle choice. A true warrior knows that, and it's a lifestyle choice. There's so much negativity out in the world that it's important that we have a few days once a year to reset ourselves.
So this is our team. This is our team of facilitators and their families. So these guys have been with us anywhere from 10 to 15 years, and they've continued to work on themselves and their family and their relationship over that period of time. They're all extremely happily married. They've got awesome businesses. They're building their kingdom. They've created, great wealth in their treasuries. They've worked on each area. And because of that, they've got the results over the years. And this is what it takes. It's a lifestyle choice to become a warrior and to move forward. For those, that aren't, they won't do this. They won't take this path.
They won't do what's necessary to create a kingdom.
Whereas part of our manifesto, part of our code, if you like, for a warrior is we will continue when others give up. And these are the results that you get from doing this. You get an awesome life. So I know we've dumped a lot of you on you right now, and it may feel a little bit like this, right? In terms of what we've offered. But I want to go into showing you how you can actually take everything that we've given you so far and convert it into an actual experience. Because, it's an experience that actually makes the difference. So what are you going to get if you come on this journey? Well, that's what we want to show you right now. So we want to be able to show you how to speak to him and have him actually understand you.
And be present and have that dance in the relationship, because for a woman, when we get that presence, immediately it releases oxytocin in us. So we want him
in the relationship, and how to stand up and become the king that you actually want to be in the relationship, where you're not feeling alone in a relationship, you're not feeling lonely. See, if you've gone outside the relationship to work, or you've gone to somebody else, the reason you've done that is you felt lonely in the relationship because the connection you're seeking isn't there. And if you're the queen, how to actually feel like you're being understood, appreciated, and valued in the relationship. And to be able to speak to him and get what you really need emotionally.
And the best gift you can give your kids is parents that are building a kingdom, that are going somewhere, that are communicating, because that's the legacy you're going to leave behind. That communication skill and tool, which they see you doing every day, is what they're going to learn and pass on to their children.
Totally. And that you can work together in the relationship and coming on this journey. So if you come to the event that we operate, which we call the Relationship Warrior Code event, you're going to ignite three main things. First of all, you're going to take away the conditioning that we've all been through. The conditioning of the culture that we've been through that's made us into men who shut down and don't really open up and block, made us into women who try and carry the emotional burden of everything in the family. And that doesn't work in the relationship. Plus the conditioning we've got from our parents or events that have happened to us that stop us from being able to implement in one of the territories of the kingdom, either in the temple or in the communication code. And on day one, we go through a format of being able to remove those things from you. Day two, to learn the code, how to be in the feminine, how to actually get yourself there and stay there, how to get into the masculine, master your ability to generate your energy internally and your testosterone levels.
And learn the differences, because only in those differences do we then influence each other. Rather than telling each other, we actually influence each other.
We take you through on day two an experience of being in the masculine and feminine and witnessing how to change your language so that I can reach her, she can communicate with me, and we both understand each other at the emotional level of what we're attempting to communicate. And day three, actually breaking through those conditioning and boundaries, being able to implement the strategies that are necessary, and then looking at moving on into the other areas of the kingdom.
That's the rise of the king and queen.
Correct. So during this event, these things are going to happen. You're going to lose the conditioning. You're going to find peace, because part of this puzzle is to go to the cell. What's the cell? It's that portion inside ourselves that's true to us. It's knowing that inner us, moving away from our egos in the relationship to be able to create what we're seeking. And the more that we do that, the more that we have clarity in our own lives about what we're seeking in each of these territories of the kingdom, particularly when it comes to the relationship. Being less irritated with each other.
Getting past that, because there's nothing worse. I don't know if you've experienced going out to dinner with a couple and they irritate each other, and he's always correcting her or she's correcting him, or correcting their stories, and they irritate each other, and it's not pleasant to be around them.
We used to do that in the early days. Like, Marie would say something, oh, we were in Turkey in 2005. And I go, no. It was
2006.
It was 2006 and it was Italy. It wasn't Turkey where that happened. I don't correct her anymore because I've learned that from a woman.
It's about the story.
It's about the story.
It's not about the facts. It's about the story that they're saying. So, they want to tell a story and they're quickly picking that date, but it's more about the story. So, when we understand those differences, we're able to have humor and laugh about the differences instead of tearing each other apart about the differences.
Absolutely, because then that allows us to understand each other, hear each other, and connect again. But importantly, respect each other. I respect Marie as a woman. She doesn't have to match me physically. Like if she was a marathon runner or something like that, cool. But that's not what it's about. Like I said, we're equal, but we're very different. And for me to be able to respect her, I have to be able to respect the femininity, the way she's going to communicate. As a guy, quite often that could drive me crazy.
Because, you're a reminder, 28,000 words a day. A man, 7,000 words.
Yep.
So let alone, I remember one man saying to me, how can I get her to talk less? So, for him, it's a place where he needs to go is to understand and honor and appreciate the feminine, because whatever woman he's with, she's going to be talking more. And if she's not, she'll be in her masculine.
Totally. So guys, don't forget, if you've got any questions as we're going through this, pop them up on the feed and we will answer the questions. It's very important to get to a place where you can respect each other. Respect, and more importantly here, not just each other as individuals, but each other as masculine and feminine. For a guy understanding that she's going to use 28,000 words, that can irritate the hell out of us. And we have to get to a place where we get that's what she's going to do. In fact, any woman, it's not just the one you're with, any woman is going to do this. And we set up systems for men within the Warrior Code. So I have on my phone an app that reminds me I've got to be talking to Marie for a 30-minute period twice a week where we're just talking about the state of the kingdom, or a date night during the week. And a date night. So there's at least 2 hours she gets total focus, total presence from me every week.
And women love that. And for men, it's important that they go to their cave, they go to their shed, they go and do what they need to do. But first they need to give us the presence. And once I get that presence from Brett, I don't care if he wants to go out with the boys or go shooting or fishing. I'm okay with him doing that because I've had the presence.
And that's where we finally move to trusting and being able to love each other. When we can understand these differences, it's not a mental thing, it's an emotional shift that's required. And that requires you to do inner work to shift these emotions. You can understand the strategies, doesn't mean you're going to be able to apply it. That's why you need to come to a live event. So this is what the event looks like. You come and attend the 3-day Relationship Warrior event on the 13th of October here in Perth and the 20th of October in Los Angeles in the United States. So there's 2 events in October, one in Perth on the 13th of October in Australia, and the other on the 20th of October in Los Angeles in the United States.
And that's the last event for the year.
And you get access to our online armory with videos, like hundreds of hours of videos like this, giving you the tools, giving you the tips, giving you the strategies to be able to implement these tools from the armory. You get to come into our Facebook group for support and encouragement, and you get access to a qualified relationship coach to assist on a fair use basis when the need arises. This is a total value of $4,480. We think it's enormous value that we can give you from 30 years of experience. Because if all it did was turn the arguments into conversations, it's got to be worth it, right? Instead of having these arguments all the time. And we know no matter how good your relationship is, there are arguments. Or if you go the opposite direction, you just don't talk about it. That's even worse. He may be getting his piece, but as a woman, that stuff is building up. And one day, you're going to happen exactly as it did to Guy Pearce, the actor, where he's being interviewed by Andrew Denton, and Andrew said to him, "So, Guy, did you see it coming?" And he went, "No."
And ladies, they don't. You know, quite so many times the guys just didn't see it coming.
Because you might not be arguing, but if it's just silent, if there's no discussion going on about what's real in the relationship, one day he or she will just be out of it. And that's even worse. Get the king and queen to rise. This isn't just about your relationship. This is about you individually rising as a person.
And it's important, no matter what you do in life, you do it from king and queen. And from that place, that's where your passion lies, and that's where miracles happen, and that's the legacy that you leave behind.
We just took some warriors away to Bali and spent 5 days with them in one of our courses called Awaken the Kingdom. And they looked at all the areas of the kingdom, all the territories of the kingdom. And this journey is about you going on that journey to build your treasury, to build your business, to build your career, to have fitness and health, who are two different categories, to master what's going on with your kids, to become a much better parent, father and mother, to look after, your temple, to look after yourself, to take time out. Girls, you simply don't spend enough time on yourselves. This is the truth. And it's about finding the person that you dream about. You have to change you to attract the right person. Yeah. So what's your kingdom, what's your family worth? $5,000, $10,000, $20,000? I know for myself, it was worth a hell of a lot more than that. A hell of a lot more than that. Because in not going on this path, what's it going to cost you? In not being there, in not taking this journey. Because what you'll save by doing this is you'll save hundreds of thousands of dollars in divorce costs. I get you might be sitting there right now and going, "Oh, no, Brett, you don't know. This isn't going to be us. I just want a few relationship tips." I've seen many people say that, and they end up divorced. Over 70% of us now are getting divorced. The chances are extremely high. And it's not just the divorce, it's the years of turmoil after the divorce. Or searching for years, trying to find the one. I know Marie went through that.
Yeah. So for me, I would attract princes, and I wanted someone to dream bigger, to dream bigger than me. And I was attracting men that just didn't dream big enough. I wanted to settle, and I wanted so much more from life. So I had to go into the cell to attract an awesome partner like Brett.
Exactly. And if you're thinking about doing marriage guidance counselling, don't. It doesn't work. I've done it. Many people have done it. It simply doesn't work because it focuses on the problem. And what you save by doing this is years of struggling, trying to find the balance, trying to find the way. Seeing your kids on a shared basis each week. And it saves your children from seeing a shattered relationship by putting in the work. See, we've got in the next event, we only take a maximum of 50. And we have a team of 10. So the 1-to-1 ratio is very, very high. You get a lot of personal attention during the 3 days, the 33 hours you're actually with us. And it's worth the effort. It's absolutely worth the time. So today the price is $1,995 to get all these things. And you meet a community of people that are on the same path as you. A community of people that are stepping up and becoming warriors, going on this journey. And it's people like Jen and Troy you'll meet. Jen is an amazing person. She's just started up her own business. They've got 2 beautiful kids. And Troy manages and looks after a very large construction company.
I have to thank you for the amazing results on our marriage. It's always been strong, but now it's unbreakable. I'm eternally grateful, not just for my husband and myself, but for our children as well. The benefit will be passed on through them. Thank you, Jen and Troy.
And, those guys would also testify that if they hadn't done the work, they wouldn't be together now.
And Jen came through Facebook. She saw a comment on Facebook, and being a woman, her intuition, she was just drawn to it and knew that she had to make a call.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's how it looks. You'll get to log into our Facebook group. We'll check you into the Armory. You can book a relationship mentoring session, and then you'll attend the Warrior Relationship Code event either in Perth on the 13th of October or in Los Angeles on the 20th of October. Now, this is about the point that people start dropping off the webinar because they go, okay, you're just trying to sell me right now. Absolutely, that's exactly what we're attempting to do. Why? Because we know that you can't get it from a book. You can't get it from a webinar. You have to come to a live event to actually get it. Now, you may be saying, I can't afford to do this. Guys, the truth is you can't afford not to do this. If you're in a relationship, these are skills that you're not going to get anywhere else. We've spent 25 years building these skills, building this learning that we've constructed here. This is invaluable information you cannot get anywhere else. You're not going to get it marriage guidance counseling. You're not going to get it in some other teacher. You're going to get it
You're not
here.
going to get it from your girlfriends. You know, this is a code, a way to live. And our passion is to change the divorce rate. Our passion is to keep families together. Because often I hear women say, oh, the kids are adjusting well, they're fine. I'm sorry, they're not okay.
That's bullshit.
And they're struggling. And, you know, we want to stop and change the divorce rate. That's our passion.
We want to see couples that are not just happy, they're having outstanding lives together, building kingdoms that then demonstrate to their children what they can have. So you can't afford not to do this. Now, you may be in a relationship with saying, I'm not sure if I love them. I get that. For women, and particularly women, they can know they love him, but there's no feeling going on. You know, he's not giving enough presence. He hasn't stepped up to king enough to give her that boost of oxytocin that she needs to actually be feeling like she feels connected to him. Now, maybe you're struggling with just day-to-day stuff like no one to have the kids. There's always a way. There's always a way to organize that and to make it happen because this is important enough for you. We get it. You may also be thinking you can do it by yourselves. Not possible.
Usually men think that because they like to keep their own map instead of swapping to another map.
So guys, if you're listening, you're thinking, oh, no, you know, I've got my own map right now. We're going to be good. Thanks for the information. I can go off and do this.
I would say, how's it been working for you?
Yeah, because if you could do it, you would have done it by now, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to offer you the opportunity of jumping into the actual event. So we're going to put up a little slide now where you can hook in to the Perth event whilst we continue to talk. So you should be able to see that right now in the feed. And if you want to even contemplating coming to the Perth event, click that now. You can always change your mind after, but click that link right now so you have at least the opportunity to come to the Perth event. Now, you may be thinking you can't do it in 3 days. The truth is we've proven it through testimony after testimony. You may be thinking love is enough. I used to think that. I used to hope the fact that I loved her was enough. The truth is it's not. You need skills to be able to do this. You need skills to be able to reach her, not only to show her through your own love language that you love her, but get her to feel it is what's important.
It's okay as it is. And a lot of people think, oh, it's okay as it is. We're going okay. Everything in this universe grows. If it's not growing, it's slowly dying. Being okay as it is a temporary call. 2 years from then, it'll not be okay from where it is. So don't wait until the relationship's so damaged that it's too hard to come back from. Make the decision now to be a warrior and keep moving forward.
So guys, I'm going to change the offer now onto the US offer. So if you're thinking about coming to the US event, this is your opportunity. Click the link. You'll have an opportunity to be able to come to that event right now.
That's the 20th of October, last one for the year.
And we're looking forward to doing it in Los
Yes.
Angeles. Be
Yes.
awesome.
Love the place.
And you're probably thinking, well, Brett, we argue all the time.
Well, someone needs to step up. Someone needs to be the first one to say, okay, I'm in, I'm changing, I'm making a difference. And if you're listening to this and your partner isn't, obviously that's going to be you.
Someone needs to make the change. So we've had many partners come individually to come and do the event, and then they've come with their partner later on to actually learn it together and be on the same page. And if you're listening to the webinar right now, it's over to you. It's your choice. You're the one that's got to be able to step up. And you're probably thinking, well, I could read a book or just do an online course, Brett. You know, there's lots of information out there, lots of courses.
And while all that is awesome, there's nothing like having a 3-day shift. It's taken a massive leap forward.
Yeah, because we've all bought the online course, we've all attended the online webinars, and then afterwards done absolutely nothing. So we've got 15 places left in the Perth event, and we can only take 15 in the LA event. So like I said, if you're thinking about it, your last opportunity to click the link for LA is right now. I'm about to remove that offer.
And remember, guys, relationships are awesome. You can get it to a place where it's you and your partner and the rest of the world. You can step forward and, you know, forgive. You can drop resentment. Miracles can happen.
So you've got the summary here of coming to the event, 3-day event, access to the online armory, access to the Facebook group, access to qualified relationship coaches to help you. All for $1,995, the price to come to the event by its own. It's an awesome offer. It's the best that we can possibly do, and I certainly hope you're going to take up this offer. So guys, thank you so much for being here. We're going to now put up the link that you can actually talk to us. You can have a complimentary conversation with us to really check in and find out, okay, where am I at? Where's the relationship at? What can you suggest to us, Brett? What can you actually suggest to us in our particular situation? If you click that link, you can use our Calendly to book in a time for us. It's time adjusted if you're in the US to our Australian time. So we can book a mutually convenient time, you know, to have a chat with each other. So guys, thank you so much for being here. Please click that. You can also text us on that number. That's the Australian number. If you're in the US, you need to drop the 0 and add 61 to text us. And look out for our podcast. Relationship Warrior Code podcast is on iTunes, Google Play, and virtually another 9 other platforms where we give weekly advice on your relationship. We want to help you, but you guys have to step up and help yourselves by taking action. We've given you 3 ways today you can take action, and we certainly pray and hope that you will do that. Thanks for being here, and take care, and we will see you very soon. If you want to book in for a complimentary conversation, click that link right now. Thanks, guys. Take care. We'll see you again soon.